Welcome. Yeah,
Got it.
welcome to the HDC on April 19th. Is that right? Is it April 19th?
21st.
Yeah, I thought it was 21st. I'm gonna throw you people off there. Oh, yeah, 21st. So, do we have a motion to?
I make a motion. Make a motion to approve. But you have to say we're here before we can approve.
Yeah, let's do that first. Present are John McLaughlin here. Say here, John. John, are you here?
1, 2, 3. Was I here?
Are you here? Are you in attendance?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Diane
Here.
and Abby is here.
Yes.
Okay. Who's that little voice? Okay, mute that.
Yep.
So, and also staff, we have
Four
Polly Cochran
Present.
and Esmeralda Martinez
Present. And Terry Norton.
and Terry Norton.
I'm not saying anything.
Okay, so,
Yeah, Terry's here.
Let me call you back.
Ray's
I'm at
coming
a
in.
meeting of the HDC.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
yeah, we just started the little
Yeah.
bits.
Okay.
So Terry, I got you on the staff that you're here.
Yeah, did Ray just walk in?
Did.
Yes,
Oh, okay. I want to make that note. Thanks.
Ray's here too. Okay.
Okay. So where are we?
Well, we got past the staff and we have Mr. McEachran in line.
Okay,
He's
well, that's
approved
good
the
because I
agenda.
think it's
Oh,
gonna be mainly his program.
Oh, yeah, Diane was just about to approve the agenda.
Oh, Diane, did you make a motion to approve today's agenda?
Yes, I did.
Okay, very good. On that motion, Abby,
Aye.
very good. John,
HDC.
John, on the motion? Motion is to approve today's agenda.
Yes.
Diane, on your motion,
Aye.
and I'm in favor. Do we have anyone other than Diane on Zoom in terms of board members, or is that it?
That is it.
Okay. All right, let's see, we got one consent, which we can run through.
Oh,
Make
motion to, go ahead, Diane.
No, I was just gonna say motion to approve.
Okay. Yep. Okay, so Diane's made a motion to approve the one consent item on that motion. Abby,
Aye.
John,
Winnie Griffin?
yes,
Thank you.
say aye. Say aye.
Hi.
Thank you. Diane, on your motion,
Aye.
and I'm in favor.
Aye.
Are we gonna skip Val's project?
Yes, Sharon, yes.
So I guess we'll need a motion.
Okay, motion to hold 28 Prospect for
There we
representation.
go. For the members that are all sitting on this. Diane, on the motion.
Aye.
Thank you. John,
Motion is for.
to hold. You have to stay with us, John, okay? We're holding this,
All right, thank you.
okay? That was a yes?
Yes.
Okay, Abby, on your motion,
Aye.
and I'm in favor. Okay, now we're to new business. First thing is Sorensen. Anyone to rep?
We're here.
Oh,
There we are.
after years of waiting for that.
51. 51 fair. Yep. Mhm.
Must be related.
Actually, just stay where you are. Okay, so you want to change the paint color. We got, where's the information?
Bear with me, Mr. Chairman.
That's okay. Why don't you just tell us what you want to do?
Just want to make it a white trim and light gray, like many of the other houses on the street. So, and I make copies and photographs of the other streets we were trying to.
Okay, so, thank you. And there must be HSAB on this.
Yes, sir. So this is a circa
Oh, yeah,
1900 Victorian, that's in the old historic district of the fish lots, that was laid out in 1717. HSAB did take a look at this on March 28th. They said that Victorians traditionally had an imaginative color scheme. Gray and white is disappointing and not appropriate for this style. The exact color should be identified. There's another comment, an effort was made during the original renovation to reflect the color scheme that was appropriate for this high style Victorian. Color scheme should not be dumbed down with grays and whites. And from staff's perspective, the existing color scheme is very appropriate and is very reminiscent of the changes of the Charles Eastlake movement, who was a British architect in the part of the late Victorian period. The color combination of these houses emphasize contrast between the lighter colors of the details and the darker colors of the house body. Grays and whites are not appropriate. Those are comments, Mr. Chair.
Can I say,
Well, go ahead.
the house was converted into a Victorian in
No, I-
1990.
I remember.
Okay,
Yeah, it was, she used to sit on this board.
okay.
What was her name?
Sandy Hall?
No. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
And
My house is on Pine Street, like 2 blocks
okay.
away from this, so I'm very, very familiar with this house. And
So there
yes,
was a major renovation going on in this house in 2000.
correct.
Correct, okay.
Yeah.
But all the houses, the side of the street, on.
No. I
Same
think-
side?
I think all of us are familiar with the context.
Yeah,
But, you
no,
know,
but I mean, this color really isn't really true Victorian. If you want to get to
Well,
the
okay,
nitty gritty,
so-
because there's
so-
lots of red, gray, different greens.
The couple that did that reno, they were very historically correct, but I gotta, personally, I'm reflecting my bias here. I never did like the color scheme on that house,
The only other Victorian that on Fair Street,
and it's all white.
that's exactly
It's-
what I'm
it's-
referring
it's
to.
all
And
white.
I copied
Yeah.
the papers from what they applied for to get for the house.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same we look.
Anyway, so the way this works, and thank you for all that background, because I kind of forgot about the fact that they Victorianized it. But so now we're going to hear from the board. So Diana's on Zoom or whatever we call this thing, the owl, Abby and John and myself. So you have a 4-person board.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
I can go.
Okay,
I
great,
just
thanks.
want to confirm, you're saying that originally this was not a Victorian?
Correct. In
What was it?
1990, they converted this to a
It
Victorian.
was,
But-
they just fixed it.
It was a-
They
it was a
added
box.
all the trim.
What was it before then?
The box.
According to the papers here on file.
All the heavy eaves and? all that?
they added
They created
everything.
all that. This, I'm trying to remember her name, Norton,
The Nortons?
Norton.
Oh, Valerie.
Valley
Val
North,
Norton.
yeah, the back side of this house that you're looking at with the chimney and stuff was blown out. It was
The
moved
chimney's
out
new too.
About.
Yeah, the
6
chimney, I can see
About
that.
16 feet.
That little left, the 2 doors are new, the left side is new.
But what's that got to do with what's up there?
We're not,
Well, they're saying that this house was not a Victorian from the Victorian era. It was a Victorian from 2000,
it was converted in 1990.
1990.
But it looks like a Victorian. Are you going to put a sign up saying this is not really a Victorian?
No, we don't want
They
to
just
change.
want to color.
No.
We don't want to
We like
change
the house as it is.
Just, all we want to do is just change the color of the body of the house and the trim.
Let's be more specific too on, I hear white and gray, right?
Light gray, yeah.
White gray body, white trim.
Okay, so that's the other Victorian on Fair Street.
That's a
Well, there's
Charles
more than,
Robinson.
That one is?
Yeah, that's Robinson.
Yeah. And there too, I'm not.
This
really
one
happy
is
with
not,
White.
It's,
I mean, the light lilac is,
Well, they wanted to paint it all white, and I remember Mark Catone coming in and settling.
It will
for
not
sort
be
of
all white, no.
lilac-y white. But so, in terms of the color that you're hoping to do, all I heard was white and gray. I didn't hear where those colors were going.
The trim itself would be white.
Okay, and then the clapboard would be gray?
That's it, yeah.
All right, and are you open, I don't know where this is going with the board, but And it's all clapboard, right? There's no shingle.
All, yeah,
All the surfaces are clapboard. Because we have a number of different grades. Anyway, Abby, sorry.
Yeah,
go.
okay, so what gray would be the clapboard? What
we
gray? the
applied for
historic-
light gray, which is the same as number 26. I thought, to keep it simple, we will, I like to laugh, but trying to simplify it, just to do the same. We looked at it, there's a few, you open the book, there's a number of different light grays. It's the gray is one of the 8 colors are too dark, way too dark for this house, in our opinion. There's moonlight is one gray. It has a tint of gray to it. There's many different grays, and we just try to make it simple in terms of.
Basically, what we're trying to do is copy a house that's already there, that's already been approved, and
Yeah.
Well,
well, it's,
do you really want to copy that house?
Not identically,
no.
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 Okay. This has purple doors, and we're not looking to do purple
Okay, let me
doors.
just
Can we-
finish instead of the back and forth, because this is getting crazy.
Mm.
I'm trying to think what, if it was a gray, I think that now that it's sort of pseudo Victorian, we have to look at it in that sense, because the architecture itself is saying it's Victorian. So even if it's whatever type it is, I would think that you would need contrast in the 2 tones. So if you were to go with a gray, it should be dark and contrast with the white. I'm trying to think if it would be better to do the clapboard dark, darker, like the lightest we go, I think that's acceptable is platinum, but that's really light. So I would go for a darker gray with white trim, if that was the color scheme you wanted to go with, and not a color. So
Okay,
there it is.
thank you,
Okay.
Abby. Diane?
The house that is painted white now, the older house, took us a long time, and it was not painted as what it was supposed to be, and we gave up on it. So that is why the other Victorian down the street is white. I think this house would have perhaps a better melding if it was white clapboard and the darker gray on the trim, which fits the way that a lot of Victorian houses are painted, with the trim standing out more than the body. I would like to see a proposal of that and see what it looks like, as long as we're going to do this. And I don't think it has much to do with that it was built in 1990 or 1890. It is, for all viewing, it is a Victorian. So I think we should follow as much as we can. And that's what I would suggest, that we look at that color combination rather than the reverse.
Okay, thank you, Diane. John, your turn.
Thank you. I have a question. First the history, the house was.
Okay, this is not the house that's under question. Could we get back to,
There's a lot.
This-
This one.
This is gonna match it.
this is the house on Fair Street that Val Norton and her husband did.
Yeah, Mr. Wayne, electrician. Since
Well,
19
that's before the Nortons, yeah, definitely.
Just telling him, I'd like to give information. Mr. Wayne came from the Second World War, started an electric business, they're still in business. Anyway, what are the 2 colors?
Okay, so what they want to do, John, is they want to have the trim, which is currently sort of a greenish color. They want that to go to white, and they want the clapboard to be light gray.
Light gray, typical colors.
Okay. Thank you, John. I would be okay. Diane, I get the idea about the darker trim and the lighter clapboard.
Right.
Not sure I love that. I know it's a Victorian thing. I'm okay with the white trim, and the grays that you have Abby is correct that the lightest gray in our, basically approvable palette is called platinum gray.
Is that the one of the 8 colors in the sheet?
I believe
Yeah.
so, right? So that's a light.
That's very dark.
No, it's very
Well,
light.
It's very light.
My office at 11 Old South Road is painted platinum gray. So you can drive by that.
11 what?
Old South Road,
Okay,
little 1-story building right down by the eye doctor.
okay.
That's platinum gray. And I think that if you look at that color, I think it's going to be dark enough to satisfy, well, I'm speculating here. I think that if you get a whole wall full of that platinum gray, it's going to read darker than if it's on the trim where it seems light. But then once you get past that, then you're into like Nantucket gray, Quaker gray, which are quite.
Maybe that's what I'm referring to.
Nantucket and Quaker. Nantucket gray is sort of a greenish gray, and Quaker gray is more of a bluish gray. But so I think that you should review the palette of colors that are available and take into consideration, you have a 4-person board. That is just, Abby seems amenable to doing what you're suggesting with a darker color on the clapboard. Diane is looking for darker trim, white clapboard. John seems to be fine with it the way it is, and I'm fine with it as long as you can lock down the gray that would work.
So you want to know what gray
Yeah.
we're thinking, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ray, Mary Bergman has her hand up,
Oh, Mary, she has her hand up?
or she.
Oh, unmute Mary.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Hi. I just wanted to speak to the date of this house. So Margaret Moore Booker's and Pat Butler's Sea Captain's cottages, or Sea Captain's houses and rose covered cottages on page 117 says that 51 Fair Street was built by Charles Robinson. He purchased the land for the house in October of 1877, began building in December, and sold the property in January 1878. And the Nortons did do a restoration of the house. They did which is detailed in this, they did a paint analysis and they found that the original layer of paint was a dark green and turquoise. So just a point of order as you
Okay,
think about it.
thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so you may want to look back at some of the earlier photographs of that, like pre-Norton.
Mhm.
I'm sure they exist. Yes.
What does that mean?
What did the house look like before the Nortons renovated?
I've done my search on here through the files.
Okay.
And there's not even,
I'll bet you anything I can find a picture of that.
I'll bet you cold beer someplace.
I mean, now you got my curiosity up.
Mary Bergman is a historian,
As,
so.
as well
Yeah.
as I can vouch for the authors of those books, because I was in college and I was helping write that book, so, it's definitely true.
So what I can tell you for certain is that the house did not look like that when I moved into the neighborhood. Definitely not.
They definitely
I
did
mean,
work on it, yeah, definitely.
Exactly, I mean, it is a house that is actually kind of new as a Victorian from what it was. originally
Well,
built
so,
as.
okay, so here's what it, and we're spending probably more time on this than we should, but so it's a Victorian house.
Yeah.
I think that the Victorian, like a lot of times, the Victorian trim came off because, it was too difficult to maintain, et cetera. And then when the Nortons took possession of it, they're basically what their business is they're in the business of restoring houses to the way they were originally,
Right.
before they got, trimmed back. So, my question is, what happened between the original builder and Norton?
Yeah,
Could
that's-
I make a suggestion to hold for more historic relevance?
So take a look at those faint colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
that's my motion.
Before you pull the shade down on us, I have a question. A lot of the other houses on Fair Street are not as dramatic as this with the Victorian
Oh,
style.
well aware,
Okay.
well aware.
But there are a lot of houses that are painted sort of along the lines that we're looking for.
No, yeah, you make
Okay,
that,
so it's not like if
You're not-
we did this house, it wouldn't be like sore thumb sticking out into the neighborhood. It would blend very well into the rest of the
I
neighborhood.
understand, yes.
Yeah,
Well, hang on, I think we have a motion on the table officially here. Didn't
Yeah,
you make a
yes,
motion?
for more historic.
information? Yeah, okay, so there is a motion on the table. On that motion, Diane,
Aye,
thank you. John,
repeat the motion,
the
please.
motion is to get more information on the color that's being proposed
Historic.
and historic information.
Before it dies, all right, I would like to state that Victorian in this style painted, two of them are in Wisconsin, right off Main Street, they're the same colors. And I think this is appropriate. These
Well,
colors are
you mean
appropriate.
this color or gray and white? Because this is the color that it is now.
No, what they asked for, they wanted a white clapboard, the trim, and the three things. And
So
I say.
he says it's off of Main Street in Wisconsin. You may want to check it out. Okay, so a little bit more background information. So thank you. Oh, and John, you're okay with the motion for more information?
Oh, yes, I think.
Okay, good. Thank you. Abby, on your motion,
Aye.
and I'm in favor. Thank you, guys.
Question
See
before
you-
we-
see you soon.
what is the procedure about coming back before you again?
Oh, well, you just
We have to
submit your
resubmit
stuff.
form
to-
work all over again from scratch?
No, not the form work. You submit the revised stuff. What we just asked for, you submit that. And then, yes, Diane.
No, it's Terry.
Oh, Terry,
Note the last name. I know for a fact that Rick and Valerie keep records of the work they do. So if they contacted
do you think
them,
that, do you think that they would be willing to share that with us?
I think they probably would be.
That would
But
be,
I remember when they did this house and the background information that they gathered.
yeah.
So
Oh,
I'm
well,
sure they
gosh.
have that somewhere. And, you know, if they contacted Norton Preservation Trust, they're in the phone book. You want me to give you the phone? I actually can give you the phone book number.
Norton Preservation, I think they can handle it, but Terry,
Yeah, it's
thank you.
2289. Oh, never mind. They are in the phone book. Rick and Valerie.
And they'll give you all kinds of information, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thanks. All right, okay, so now it's the Matt McKecker hour. Matt, you there? Matthew?
I am, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me?
Hi, yep. Okay, so first up is 25 Sanctity.
Yes. And with your permission, I can just jump right into it.
Why don't we?
Okay. We may want to start with the existing condition photographs, specifically the one, the front of the house. So anyways, the house on the GIS map says it dates from 1957. And what we're looking to do is basically maintain most of the house, but the right side of the photograph that's shown here was a garage at one point. And it was converted into living space. And basically what we want to do is remove that portion of the structure and reconfigure it in a way. So we're actually reducing the total footprint of the house. I think actually if we scroll down to the site plan sheet G 1.1. You can see the portion of the structure that we're looking to alter. Actually, probably A11 is probably better. So it got a little bit more detail.
we need to put up big on the screen.
It's on the screen.
No, it's not. I got pictures of you.
We're looking at it.
Well, I'm not.
There you go. That's a good shot.
It's a demo plan.
There you go. So this is the west elevation. And you can see that the existing condition is drawn below the proposed. And you can see the right side of the structure. It's that's the portion that we're looking to demolish. And there's also an addition done in front of the main mass of the house. And what's kind of awkward about this house is the front door, if you can see, it's slightly to the left of the main gable, and it's pretty, it's not really spectacular. And I feel like the main mass of this structure was really beautiful. And I think that the left side of the structure is really nice. But I think that this addition just kind of covered up the facade of the house in a way where you lose some of that existing cottage style, or shingle style beauty, if you will. So the proposal is again to remove that that later right side addition and reconfigure it slightly, and then create a front door. And so you can see that on the west elevation, we're trying to create a central front door with a hip that wraps or is integrated into the existing mass, if you will, and then a small projecting hip roof mass. A lot of the windows are existing and they are pretty vertical. And because it's an existing window type, we followed suit. And I just want to be clear that we didn't introduce that type of window. It's actually a little bit narrow, I think, for everyone's taste, but it is what it is. And so we've kind of used that. I would say a majority of the visibility of this. Sorry, a majority of this, the visibility of the structure is mostly on the west elevation. You can also see the remnant portions on the subsequent elevations, but I think for the most part, I think the drawings kind of speak for themselves. So available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, great. So what we should probably do is roll down and see the other sides. And in the meantime, is this Wisconsin advisory? No. It's not. Okay, so not subject to Wisconsin advisory. There's the back elevation and the side. Okay, opinions from the board.
I could go.
Abby's gonna go.
I looked at it at home in the comfort of my own home. And I just looked at it again, and I think the renovation and the rebuilding of this is actually helping this architecture in everything you did. So I have no problem with
Okay.
going forward.
All right, thank you. Diane?
Yes, that, I agree with that. I think what they've taken down, somebody's making a lot of noise. Is appropriate, and I think it will make a good building. I just wanted to question on the west elevation map, is that dormer over on the left, is that coming out too?
We added that, and it's
You added
specifically,
that.
we are adding that, correct.
That's fine. No, I don't have any problem with it.
Okay, Diane, thank you. John?
Yes, thank you. Moving to full proof, is that on his application or another?
No,
application?
it's not part of this application.
I find the addition going through the old and the change, I think it's suitable for what's there now.
Well, that's a good answer
Wow.
because everybody agrees with you, John.
Did you want to say some comments?
No, because I'm fine with it.
Okay,
I
I'll make a-
agree that it's an improvement over what's there now.
I do too. I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
Yeah, okay, great. Abby's made a motion to approve. How about that, Diane? Are you in favor?
I'm in
Very
favor.
good. All right, thank you. John?
Aye.
Thank you. Abby, on your motion,
Aye.
and I'm in favor. All right.
Thank
We're
you.
off to Races. 6 Old Westmore Farm. Cupola. This cupola keeps rearing its head, I think, on this building, doesn't it?
I don't know. I think this is the first time.
Maybe this is a different building.
It's a different cupola.
Oh, yeah, no, this isn't the one I'm thinking about. Yeah. All right, so add
Okay.
cupola and siding.
So if I could, I can just run you through the scope of the work, Mr. Chair. I probably might be better to start with the site plan just to show you where this house is located and get a sense of its orientation. The front door doesn't actually face on Old Westmore Farm. It actually faces on an interior driveway I don't know if it's possible, if you can ever all see that site plan to the right side of it. But you got Old Westmore Farm Road to the south, but then there's actually a shared driveway and it splits off to the right. And so this portion of the structure is set back pretty good distance from Old Westmore Farm Road. And I think there's a house that's being built right now that was designed by Andrew Cochin's, really interesting, beautiful structure, but it's actually pretty large. And I think that one of the reasons it was approved is because of its lack of visibility, because it is set so far back from the road. This building was part of the original development prior to this being subdivided. And so it's an existing rambling structure. And so there was an addition to this particular portion of the structure, I think maybe about 7 years ago, where they put a second floor on this portion of the structure. And so the two things that we're trying to do here is basically add a covered entryway to more clearly identify where the front door is, number one. Actually, if you scroll down, I think it's the next sheet. Yeah, there you go. So again, this is the portion of the structure that's really at the tail end of it. And the portion on the right with the pent roof and the gable covered roof portion is really the existing door. And it's fairly, you can't even tell it's a front door. So we just wanted to add an architectural detail that would identify it as such. And then secondarily, this portion that's on the left is an existing 2-story structure with no dormers. That pent roof is actually existing. And so our suggestion or thought here was to basically make this portion of the structure read as if it may have been somewhat of an outbuilding, because it is a very long rambling structure. And then the cupola is really not necessarily a cupola. The idea was that was just a vented cupola, if you will. It's purely aesthetic, but we thought that it would support the material change on the sidewall. And that's pretty much it. Those are the only changes.
Hey, Matt.
Yes?
Matt, it's unclear to me, your vertical siding, is that natural to weather or is it painted?
That's natural to weather.
Okay, it's not, I don't think I saw a note anywhere that says natural, so I'd like that made clear.
Certainly.
Because I think, we have unfortunately a few examples where we agreed to having this painted vertical siding and it's just seriously intrusive visually. Okay, thanks. Board members, what do you think?
Well, so I thought when I first looked at it, Matt, that the cupola actually seemed a little scrawny. And I just pulled it out a little bit. I don't have my scale with me, but I pulled it out about, it amounts to like a foot, like 6 on either side of.
She's making it about a foot wider.
Yeah, and then a foot taller. I mean,
There's no
somebody
problem
told
with
me
that.
once, go bold or go home. So if you're
It's
gonna
fine.
do it.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it wasn't, it does.
And how much taller?
And it looks like,
I happen to agree with you, like.
it's like over 6, it's like,
Vertical.
yeah, vertically,
Okay.
yeah, 6.
So Abby's opinion is that this cupola should actually get a little bit bigger. Diane, where are you on this application?
I was looking at it like a barn, that
Mhm.
building, but with those windows, they don't look very barny to me. So I wouldn't mind. That's a nice looking cupola, and it certainly has the width to put it on. So I wouldn't be opposed to it. I just think that it and the windows on the first floor don't particularly go together. But I don't know how they're not changing. So that's my sort of wishy-washy opinion.
Okay. Thank you. John, your turn. Your turn.
Thank you. Okay, I think where it's got the vertical boarding makes it a barn type effect,
Correct. Yep.
And to do that, I think you ought to eliminate the transoms. They're overshadow of a modern invention. And the other one, the front door they have now is more appropriate than what you're asking for. Because this has, as I say, has more glass than wood.
Oh, John,
Yeah.
I'm gonna point something out to you. Matt, make sure that I'm saying this correct, okay? The front door itself, the front door is not changing. You are simply putting a roof over the front door, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so he's not changing, it's bubbled, but that's because of the roof, not because of the door. The door is
Oh, okay.
already that way.
I think,
got it
and I
here
think the
now.
transoms exist.
Now, okay, what I'm saying is, that if you look at, if you look in the existing west elevation. Okay. But let's see this here. So, the way it's drawn on the existing east elevation, it's got 4 glass lights and 2, the long panels. It's on there now, apparently.
Right,
It's right in the picture.
correct.
So why not just leave it? It's more approvable than the other one.
Well, he is leaving.
I'm
It's just
sorry.
adding the,
He is leaving.
Well, as I say, you look at it here,
He's just adding a roof over it.
leave it existing instead of changing to something that shouldn't be there. Unapprovable, in my opinion. That way, they're doing-
What elevation is he talking about?
The front door, you know, I believe that's the west elevation. Yeah, west
Yeah.
elevation.
It's not moving, it's not changing.
This is the,
correct.
I'm saying that, my opinion, the door should be changed, all right? The transom should disappear and the cupola myself. If the whole building was all board, it would look nice. But putting a cupola on top of a double mix is not appropriate, I don't think. It'd be one or the other.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Thank you, John. And I actually think that these changes are all benign. But I'll go further to say that all these benign changes are never going to be visible from a public way. You know, this is set way back on the lot, on a little sort of half cul-de-sac type road. So I think this is completely approvable. With the stipulation, I just said that it's not visible, but I would like to make sure that the minutes reflect that the siding is to be natural to weather as opposed to painted white. That's it.
And are we
Okay.
we're gonna make the cupola wider by a foot?
I'm completely in favor of that. You know,
Good.
I think Abby has a good idea there.
so there's no color on this at all? It's all natural to weather?
Is that true, Matt? I don't know.
Yeah, the existing trim is actually white, but like you said, the vertical barn board would be natural.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
I don't mind the white on the cupola.
Okay.
Were you about to make a motion, Diane?
That's why you make the motion, that's your ideas.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, motion to approve as submitted, making the cupola wider and taller by 6 inches to a foot, to your discretion.
Okay. That is Abby's motion. On Abby's motion, Diane.
Aye.
Thank you, Diane. John.
Christian trying to help. That's my opinion.
It's
Lately, all
okay.
these changes, all these new stuff coming up.
He's not changing anything. He's not changing the front door. It's already there. So are you against or?
It's too many changes, you know?
Okay, John.
I've seen too many of them.
Just, okay. why don't-
Just, you can say no, John, and it's completely legitimate.
I'll go along with it. I'll go along with it.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thank you, John. So John's in favor and Abby on your motion, right?
Aye.
And I'm in favor, motion carries. Okay, thank you. Okay,
You.
sorry about that. Okay, Maple Lane.
Where's Maple Lane?
I don't know. We're about to find out.
It's actually a new subdivision right across from the Lighthouse School.
Oh,
Oh,
And I think you've already approved, Brooke did
yeah.
a really
no,
nice
we'll-
house.
Yeah, we did one or two things in here a few weeks ago, yeah. Okay. Thank you, John.
Okay. So with your permission, Mr. Chair, I can just jump right in.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I think probably the best place to start would be site plan, just to see where the structure sits. One thing I just noticed, which probably would be helpful, is a subdivision plan, because it doesn't show up on the GIS yet. But this structure is essentially at the end of the subdivision. It's the cul-de-sac, if you will. You can see it from the site plan. But the intent here is that the structure's front door faces towards Maple. But because of the orientation of the lot, well, not because, but I guess part of it is, the owners did want a garage, and so there is a curb cut, but it's located closer to the side entry of the garage, so you don't actually see the garage doors from the facade. But I just thought that would be helpful for orientation purposes. If you scroll down to, let's get my sheet here, A 2.1. You can see the front elevation again. So that's the primary elevation that's visible. So there's a couple things here that, I know that collectively the board is not in favor of steeper pitches. One of the things I wanted to do here, the main gable is a steeper pitch, but the primary reason for that was to essentially not have any, knee walls or eave lines on the second floor, or minimize them as much as possible, and really try to create a very strong horizontal line at the first floor level. And so it took a lot of pushing and pulling, but that was the result, to really try and have that house have more of a seem less tall, if you will. It's not that tall to begin with. It's actually only 27 feet and change. But that was the idea behind it. We've got wraparound porches. We've got a shingled post base with a crossbuck railing detail. I think the idea for the subdivision, or there's nothing official, but I've seen some of the work that Brooke's done, and I think there was another structure that I saw where I think the idea is that they all have some collective level of detail, a little bit more detail than normal, if you will. The rest of it's fairly straightforward. I think we tried to keep it pretty consistent. Cottage corners, a couple of shingle swales here and there, but I'd say the drawings kind of speak for themselves. So with that, look forward to any questions from the board, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
I can go.
Okay, thanks.
I think on the north elevation on the far right, those two shed dormers being different sizes are a little odd, but I'm figuring it's a bathroom and a bedroom or something, so and maybe that oddity just takes the curse off it being really symmetric, so I'm actually okay with it.
So you don't mind to?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think it's beautiful design.
Okay. Thank you, Abby. Diane?
Yeah, Matt, how long is the building?
If you give me 1 second, I can try to look that up.
Or maybe we saw a site plan. It looks kind
know
of
what,
large.
I'd have to get that for you, Diane. Sorry.
Okay, that's right.
Actually, Matt, I can help you out a little bit here. So on the site plan, there are some dimensions, and the overall dimension porch to porch is 81 feet 2 1/8 inch.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Oh.
I think on the front elevation, the windows that, dormers that Abby mentioned, I would bring the right-hand one in, so it didn't have so much cheek on the sides. It's to me a little out of proportion, whether one's tall and one's shorter. If the width was more the same, I think it would fit in better.
Sure.
You okay with that, Matt?
Yeah, we could do that.
Because when you look at your other dormers, I'm sorry to interrupt, Diane, but you raised a good point. The other dormers, the relationship of the window to the corner of the dormer is less than that one on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, it's more like 18 inches, and what you're showing on the right-hand side is more like 2.5 feet. Anyway.
Gotcha. Yeah, we can
continue,
totally do
Diane.
that.
Okay, go ahead, Diane.
I just wanted to see the south because I think we can see the south from there. No, I don't.
There's the
If
south.
nobody thinks, if nobody thinks this is too long to fit in there, I know it seems to fit in the lot. It just seems to be a big house for the development. It's going to fill it up fine, but other than that, I don't have any problem.
Well, you know, you're definitely right that it's a large house, but if you look at it on the site plan, you know, there's plenty of kind of breathing space around it, given the lot size. But
Right, but
thank you.
we have a pool going in, and you're gonna have a
Pool and-
cabana
Yeah.
for the pool. So anyway, that's all.
Okay, thank you, Diane. John, your turn.
Thank you. I think the way I'm reading this, it's close to 16 single posts on here.
Probably, yes.
With the crossbar. I just think that so much heaviness on these posts is not appropriate for in that neighborhood up there. I went up, looked around, there's not that many up there that need changing. But I'm just saying that crossbox also, they ought to change the fuel, get rid of them. It's just too much on there for what they're carrying. Architectural, visually. And I'll say basically, that's my thought on it. It's just have that quite a bit, if there's that many on there, the way it looks. So. I think, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Too many posts there. That's all.
I actually
That's my
think,
comment.
okay, thank you, John.
My question is a pool on this application?
No, pool would be coming in separate.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, that's my comment. there.
All right, John. So I actually think that the porches ground this house a lot. And that's why, by the way, porches do not count as ground coverage, because long ago, the HDC decided that porches were a great way of grounding buildings so that they didn't feel like they were towering out of the ground. So I'm okay with the porches. And I do like Diane's comment. It sounds like Matt's okay with the idea of reducing the width of that dormer on the north elevation, on the right-hand side of the north elevation. Can we have a motion on this one?
Make a motion.
And your motion would include, yes, go ahead.
That we approve as submitted, with the exception of turning the larger dormer on the north side to bring in the side cheeks.
Okay, like that motion, Diane, thank you. On that motion, Abby.
Aye.
Thank you, John.
My comment was 18 posts there.
Right, and my comment was that the posts are holding up the roof, the porch roof, which I like. So the motion is to approve it with the dormer getting smaller. Are you in favor or opposed?
I had another comment. Single overhead garage door. It's an overhead door.
Yeah.
That 4 panels.
Yes.
Single overhead garage door.
There are,
The whole, one whole unit that goes up.
is that correct?
It is, Mr. Chair. It's
Just
an
one
overhead
garage
door.
It's a big
Correct.
overhead door that all goes up like this.
Yeah, right, single unit.
Exactly right. Yes. So are you okay with the motion, Sean? Sir, are you okay with the Diane's motion?
Motion to approve it?
Approve it with the dormer being made narrower, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, John. And Diane, on your motion.
Yes, aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. I'm in favor. Motion carries. Okay.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Thank you.
Last couple applications, you signed
Yeah.
some papermate pens, they're soft pens.
Oh, you know what? Here.
My own,
Oh,
but
you do?
it's not
Okay.
recorded.
Great. Okay, so the next one is a gate.
This looks really easy. There's one little fluffy red line. And it's got a sweet little gate, so
Matthew,
I'm
go
okay
for
with
it.
it.
Thank you.
Do you
So-
even need to explain this?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I
hold
didn't
on.
know that,
So you want to hear Wisconsin advisory? Do you know what they're gonna say?
Yeah,
You know what? Sure, go ahead.
Surprising.
All right, so, thank you, Mr. Chair. As you all remember, the main structure that you've seen a few times is attributed to Matthew Crosby from the 1820s. Wisconsin Advisory took a look at this on March 28th. They said they would prefer a simpler gate design, that it's too ornate for the house in setting. And I would recommend looking at details from historic photographs, the report that was previously done. That's on file, and that's included in the application. But I concur with Wisconsin, so a little ornate.
Okay, thank you. Abby, are you still where you are?
Well, so what is that lion's head doing in the middle? That's not a joke?
No, it's not a joke. That's something that the owner wanted, and he's got somebody that's going to make it custom, and it's subtle. I think when it's all painted, it's not going to be overly
Yeah,
obvious,
that's-
but
But it's not gold or anything.
no plans for gold.
Okay, I think it's ornate, but like, if you get that gobbledygook on top of the roof as well, I mean, it's kind of getting zhuzhed up, so I don't really mind it. I mean, yeah, it could be simpler, but let's see what other people say.
Okay, thank you. Diane?
well, I'd either go with what's there or make the 4 panels solid, separated by the rectangular dividers if they wanted it simpler. I don't think that you're going to see the lion unless you drive by very slowly. And if you took out that middle sprocket thing, I think it would make it simple enough. Otherwise, I would go with as it is, depending on what you all think.
When you say as is, do you mean the gate that's already in place, or the one, or this one, the new design?
I would approve the new design, but
Okay.
I would also approve one that had the 4 rectangles solid.
The 4 rectangles. I'm not quite understanding.
I see pizza pie shapes. Where do you see?
Yeah.
Where-
She's thinking
Well,
about this.
if you put them together, they make
I see what you mean.
rectangles.
Like these, I think she means this and this and this.
Oh, so get rid of the Union Jack, get rid of the diagonals.
Or leave the diagonals and take off the,
Yes,
yeah. But then it's like a crossbuck.
Should we stop get coffees now?
right.
The other thing that I will point out, thank you, Diane. The other thing I want to point out is that, like, this whole gate, if you look at the 3D view, appears to be a full 3.5 or 4 inches deep. Unlike most gates where those pieces those pieces are narrower. This is like thick, so you're actually gonna see it's gonna appear much thicker than a normal gate that you would see anywhere else. Does that make
So
sense?
we should simplify it, or what are you saying?
Well, I mean, it's gonna read really heavy because when you look at it diagonally, it's gonna look like that little perspective view. You
Yeah.
see a ton of wood. You know what I'm talking about, Matt?
And you see it most,
Yeah, I do actually, and I think that we could certainly reduce the depth of the interior members, because I think it's a valid point. I think that we could, reduce the depth of those, certainly, at least probably by an inch. I think we still want them to have some level of rigidity, but we could certainly reduce the depth of them.
Well, what's the rest of it? What's the thickness of the rest of it? There's no indications.
I think that full-on depth is somewhere in the range of 3.5 inches. And so I think that those horizontal and crossbuck members are probably in the same range. I'd say like 3.25 inches. So we could drop them down to somewhere in the range of 2, perhaps.
Yeah, and then these very sharp points, I mean, I'm thinking of this from sort of an endurance standpoint, that little sort of cutaway circle at the very top. Those little razor sharp edges that you have on either side are going to get broken off quickly, really rapidly. I don't know. I'd love to see this simplified a little bit.
We can try to simplify it. And I mean, you bring up a good point about, the sharpness of those edges. They'd probably round those over a little bit. So we can provide probably a cross section and make some modifications to the depth of some of those members, if that makes sense.
Could you? I mean, this is, the fact that this is on Main Street in front of this really super charming house is giving me pause, I mean, it's an ornate piece that I think you might wind up having a few issues with. Don't love the lion, by the way.
Right.
Yeah, just, you wouldn't see that anywhere.
It looks a little Anne Klein.
Yeah, and fun.
What about just a simple pediment up there without a circle? So it's just got a
Should we let Matt work on this a little bit?
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I
Motion
make
to
a
hold
motion
for- Go ahead, Diane.
to hold for revisions. He'll know
Okay.
what.
Very good. Thank you, Diane. So we're gonna hold, hey, John, we're gonna hold this for revisions, okay?
Yes, but I want to make some comments.
Okay, go ahead.
My comments are that the 8-spoke lion type gate, is okay, it's proper for it to look that way. And I think if you replace it with this new one, it would look fine because you have 8 existing posts on the front porch raised up anyway. So it would enhance the vision.
Okay,
I think it should be approved.
but the motion is to hold for some revisions. The motion is to hold for some revisions. Are you for or against the motion? John? Are you for or against the motion to hold for revisions? Okay, thank you. And Diane on your motion.
Aye.
All right, and I'm in favor, motion carries. Next up, 31 Western. What time is it?
2 o'clock. Okay, with your permission, I can run through the description, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I have drawings for the I mean, I don't particularly care, but so you're the cabin too.
Yeah.
So John, put these aside, put these drawings aside for a moment because we're gonna review those next. We're reviewing the main house, which is up on the screen right there.
You can do what, 31 Western? No.
Yeah, but we have 3 applications for 31 Western. So this is the youth hostel. See it up on the screen?
Yeah.
And Esme is gonna bring around some paper drawings.
Sorry, you got swapped around.
It's okay. That's no problem. We're looking at it. So Matthew, we do have your drawings up on the screen. Can you just tell us what you're revising?
Sure, certainly. So I think everyone is probably familiar with this building. Dates to 1874. It's a Charles Robinson design structure. It's obviously really beautiful and we love it. And so does the Preservation Trust. And there's actually a Preservation Trust deed restriction on the property that specifically states that no significant exterior changes can be made or interior for that matter. So what we're proposing here are some fairly minor changes. Some of them have to do with making the building accessible. Some of them have to do with making the building a little bit more useful, if you will. I think if we started on the sheet that you're on there, I'm just going to get on the same page as you, literally. Just bear with me for 1 second. If we zoom, I don't know if it's possible to zoom in on the front elevation. Just pull this up here. There we go.
Exterior stair.
Yes, so there's on the left side of the building, there's an existing egress stair. It's all made out of PT. And our plan was we do need that. It's existing. And essentially what we're looking to do is just add a little bit of ornamentation to the cap of the posts. Right now, they're just 6x6 square PT posts. The intent was to essentially keep it essentially the same design, but just add a slight level of ornamentations just so it didn't look like, clearly was added later, and I don't think it was completely well thought out, but in the interest of keeping everything essentially the same, the thought was to slightly embellish it a bit and integrate some detail that's found on the main body of the structure into the stair. So we literally are just adding a capital to the top of the posts there. The other change is to the right side of the elevation. You'll see that we're proposing to add an accessible ramp. Now we looked at a few different options here. If we did a 1 in 12 pitch, we would need to have railings, two sets of railings at the two predetermined heights per AAB or ADA regulation. As an alternative, we didn't want that to compete with the facade of the building. So as an alternative, we're proposing a 1 in 20 ramp. It's a wood ramp. It's actually a similar design to the one that is in front of Faraway, which is pretty well screened, but it's the same construction methodology where it's essentially just 1x4 mahogany decking. And then we propose to actually skirt the sides of it, if you will. But again, the overall height that this ramp is coming up is only, I think, roughly about 18 or 19 inches. So it's significantly longer, but we feel like it's less obtrusive and doesn't compete with the existing architecture. So it's really important to us. The final change is the front door or the door. So this was a functional life-saving station. And actually the building went through a few different incarnations. Specifically, the two side bays were not original. And they were added later, but pretty early on in the life of the structure. And there are these two existing doors that are outswing doors. And there is, if you look at the existing photographs, I think that might be helpful. Right now, the size of the opening was shingled in and a single 3.0, I think it's like a 9-light door was installed. Those are the historic pictures. And it just seems fairly out of place where, oh, there you go. You can see that single door just kind of floating out in space. We thought it would be more appropriate and also get some light into the structure if we changed it to a multi-light door, if you will. So the idea is that those doors could be open or closed. I anticipate those doors being open most of the time. But this is the proposal we came up with. We thought that the light size was conducive. We tried to match the proportional relationship of the existing windows in the building to the amount of lights that are in this building. Not that this is a driver or for your decision-making process, but the center hall of the structure, which again, we're maintaining all the original structure, if you will, is going to be a small common area. And the idea is to basically let as much light as possible into it. But more so, I'd say the idea was that this building is to some degree a retrofit where you have these historic, doors that were functional, And there was a operational structure. There was nothing, behind them, but now that it has been converted into a hostel, that it was just a bit more authentic. So that's the rationale.
Okay.
That's all I
Hey,
have, Mr. Chair.
Matt,
Yes?
Matt, remind me who the steward of the preservation easement is.
It was us, and now it's
You
Manhattan
transferred.
Preservation Trust, yes.
And have they reviewed this?
Yes, and Mary's also here.
Oh, Mary, are you, I don't see you in the queue, but are you there? And if so, could you unmute?
I am.
Great, thanks.
Yeah,
So you reviewed this already?
Yeah, we've reviewed it, and we found the proposed changes to be approvable by the Secretary of the Interior Standards. So we've approved what Matt submitted to you.
Okay.
Of course,
All
your
right,
approval is of utmost importance, but
Okay, but I just wanted to make sure that, we weren't for sort of the first step and that they were gonna go, here as the second step. But I've been disabused of that. So thank you, Mary. Oh, we have your letter. Do you want this back?
Yes.
Okay, oh, because you want to read it.
I
Okay.
wanted to read
Yeah.
just a portion of it.
Mhm.
So, and also HSAB did take a look at this since it is a
Oh, okay.
historic
Yep,
resource. So as you all are aware, this is the Star of the Sea, as Matt mentioned, circa 1874, another Charles Robinson. And there is a preservation restriction that the town put forth, and we transferred over to NPT. Thank you, NPT. And HSAB did take a look at this on April 4th. They did have a few comments. So regarding the proposed new ramps, HSAB had differing opinions on what is more important historically to either maintain the existing front step boat ramp and add the required side ramps versus eliminating some of the side ramps for less clutter and make the front boardwalk and boat ramp the appropriate pitch for wheelchair access. It would be helpful to see other options for providing access to both doors. If the side ramps remain low, simple landscaping might be provided to conceal the elevated sides. Regarding the proposed changes to the front door, the original door had diagonal boards with no X bracing. Diagonal boards should be shown. The proposed transom in the door approach is very unusual and should either change to a fixed transom with shorter doors or full height doors of a consistent pattern. Again, HSAB had differing opinions on whether multi-pane French doors are appropriate versus the frameless sheet glass. Perhaps more options could be provided. What does it look like with the storm doors closed? HSAB respectfully requests revisions if you're so inclined. From staff's perspective, we received NPT's letter today. Thank you, Mary. Appreciate the ramp being low in scale. Thank you, Matt. And I would make a recommendation that the requirements in NPT's letter obviously be done before HDC approves. Specifically, NPT holds the restriction and they hereby conditionally approve the proposal subject to the receipt of the following. One, a drawing of a railing proposed newels at a scale sufficiently large to see the details of the caps. And two, either confirmation that there will be no exterior installation of HVAC systems, condensers, or other wall-mounted equipment, or drawings showing the locations, sizes, and appearance of any exterior HVAC equipment proposed for the project. If they have not already selected HVAC systems for the property, then plans should be submitted once they have been selected. They did also have some recommendations, but they're not obviously requiring them, but I think the commission should be just take those into consideration. So NPT believes the proposed changes fit within the Secretary of Interior standards, as Mary had mentioned, and they suggest for them to consider reproducing the original doors as shown in the historic photographs, which Matt has included.
Just the diagonal ones.
Yeah, I believe you want to bring those up. Mary lists them out in the letter, and I know Matt has those on file. NPT also suggests, but does not require, for them to consider a simpler design for the interior doors, and I will notate that the HDC does not have jurisdiction over the interior, only NPT does. So those are the comments, Mr. Chair.
Okay, great. Thank you. Who would like to begin?
I'll go.
Okay, Diane, go ahead.
I was at the meeting on the 4th with Ashab, and we had a long time discussing the boardwalk and what goes down the right-hand side of the building, that there is a way to get around it so that all that new stuff in front, running off the front of the building and going around the corner was not necessary. You can see it in the elevation rather than the photograph. I have a problem with the front door. I thought that the thing was you wouldn't change the facade, and those French doors is certainly changing the facade. They have nothing to do with the life-saving museum or life-saving building, youth hostel. I find them out of place here. If they're going to make it a hotel, fine, but don't change the facade. Let's not change everything so that a hotel can exist there. I feel the door on both sides should be changed back to what they were. You see that on the right hand side, the ramp going down, and then the walkway turns and goes down that side of the building. That could be avoided, putting that up and having to plant it and all that stuff. If you bring the ramp out and join the walkway, which is already out further front, you don't need to have a ramp going down right next to the building if indeed you have a ramp coming out of the side door. It takes a little time to see that. I don't know. You see the gas and AC, if that's what they're going to have, because this building is visible from every side. You see the north side coming up South Surfside Road, and you see it from going out past the museum. So that's what I think we should start with, and I think it should go back to HASAB before we approve it. But there's that ramp. See all that stuff on the right hand keeps changing. Anyway, if you get back to the site plan, you will see what I'm talking about. That all that ramping can be reduced in size. There, if it stays there for a minute, you'll see. Well, there it is. All that ramping on the right hand side. You see where it comes down from the front of the building, goes to the right, and out from the building. That goes down and goes into the door on the side. You don't need that one right up close to the building, which gives you more visible vision of the building without having all that rampage when you have it already established in where it says wood boardwalk. We went through it for quite a long time, figured it out, Hashab did, and it made sense. It declutters the building on that side, which is the first side you see as you come up Western Avenue, because the pullout down there is a car park. So that's what I would like to see a proposal made without that. Thank you for now.
Mr. Chair, could I just point something out through you just regarding that?
Well, you already did, Matt. And I heard what you had to say.
Okay, I just want
About
that side
the
entrance.
ramp, right? About the ramp?
Yeah, the side entrance, we also have to make accessible. It doesn't really make sense, but there's actually two floor levels inside the building. There's one, the central mass, if you will, but then the two side wings, if you will, are actually, I think they're about 9 inches lower, or 7 to 9 inches lower. And it's an existing floor change, and it doesn't make sense actually, but the AAB requires that we still make that side entrance door accessible, even though once you get into it, there's still a step inside the building. But so Diane, I just wanted to point out that I actually have to make that, and the
I
one,
know, but if you look at the ramp without it up close and follow the boardwalk and take the right going down the side of the building out further, there is a ramp proposed coming out of that side door and meeting up with your boardwalk. They're not trying to cut that out. They're just trying to make it simpler. That would be a ramp coming out of that side door, going out
Right.
to the boardwalk.
understood. I just wanted
So-
to point out that we have to make that side entrance accessible. And so
But I'm telling you, it would be accessible because you'd have a ramp and it would go out to the existing boardwalk that is accessible by wheelchair. Anyway, it's just my suggestion.
Okay, thank you, Diane. Abby, you ready?
Yeah, I think, Matt, if you can reduce the ramping, that would be great. I was concentrating on the front of the building, which I think is going to be seen. I prefer, I think Preservation Trust said the original storm doors in that sort of diagonal V groove rather than the crossbucks showing. I think the very large French doors with the transom above is odd, and I would make a larger trim around some French doors and have transoms above. And I mean, right now they're 4 feet by 8. I don't think they need to be that large. I would reduce those to a sort of a more human scale. And I'm just assuming that the color is staying that sort of barn red or Nantucket red, whatever that is. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Okay, that's all I got. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Abby. John, your turn.
Thank you. Looking at these here, they want to redecorate the newel post on the top of the stairs and the rest of the point. I find no problem with it. There aren't a lot of them that have in Nantucket, but it's just probably appropriate, in the long range for this. My other comment. New compliant ramp, accessory ramp, I have no problem with that. Replace the existing front door. I would strongly recommend when they rebuild exactly like there, I don't think it's a problem. Now they're changing it to crossbuck.
Oh, you mean the wood doors on either side?
I'm sorry?
The doors on these? Those?
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should.
Everybody wants them to go to the diagonal board that's there now.
I think to change them. You know, if they have crossbucks on it, they don't.
They don't.
Apparently they have the,
Just the diagonal boards,
Yeah.
like this,
so,
like that, John.
yeah, this is the same as down on the
The,
Main Street there, you know,
yeah,
historic society. But I think that ought to be looked into and because it's that, and the other, the pre-existing with the four 6/6s on both sides of one roof.
oh, yeah, they're not messing with that. They're not touching
I
it.
don't know that. That's what I had to say, was on that. And here. Some elevators, they're existing, yeah, but I agree.
Okay. Thank you, John. You good?
I didn't hear her, but my machine.
Oh, no, she was just saying what time it was.
Yeah, my only other comment, if they're gonna replace the doors exactly as they are, they should be made with a crossbuck on the inside. That's my only recommendation. Thank you.
All right, thanks. So, yeah, for me, it's the doors, the diagonal doors that have been mentioned a number of times. The large French doors, I think you either have like real transoms and make the doors smaller, or somehow, I mean, they'd be gigantic, absolutely gigantic doors, but right now with this sort of faux transoms, I don't think they look right. So those are my main issues.
I'll make a motion to hold for minor revisions and back to HSAP.
Back to HSAP, exactly. So that's Abby's motion. On the motion, Diane. One second.
Aye.
Thank you, Diane. Yes.
Just quick.
She made a motion to hold for revisions.
Thank you.
You good?
Okay.
And John's in favor. Abby on your motion,
Aye.
and I'm in favor too. Now we can move
Thank
to the cabin, which we already have the drawings out for.
Okay, I'll just jump right in. So this is an existing structure. The date we have is 1938. It's a unique structure. It's the bottom portion of it is in concrete. And so a majority of the changes are to the east elevation and south. And so if you look at the comparative elevations, you can see the before and after. The existing door clearly is not historic. I don't know if the drawings are up on your end.
No, they're not.
Okay, sorry.
Still no, Diane?
No, it says,
Now they're up.
there they are.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you look at the existing east elevation, it's an aluminum door, and it's not original, clearly. And our proposal is just add some additional fenestration to the structure because it will become a unit, if you will. And so I'd say the majority of the elevation changes are on the east and again on the south. The remaining two elevations, there are no changes to it, but basically we're looking to add a more appropriate door and definitely add some more additional daylight. The door itself is a door that's found on one of the other outbuildings. That's why we selected it. We thought it was most appropriate. So with that, look forward to comments from the board, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Mary, any comments? Are you still there? And if so, oh, you
Yeah.
did- yeah.
I'm still here. This is a building that's, I think you guys are calling it the cabin. In the
Yes.
description, it's called the shed. It's actually not listed. It's not part of the grouping of historic buildings. But so therefore is exempt from the restriction, but we felt that the changes that were made were minimal and in keeping with the rest of the campus.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, and then Holly, well, not yet. Holly.
And through you, Mr. Chair, Mary, I believe this, based on the Form V that MHC has on file, this shed is actually dated circa 1930 to 1950. So it is contributing. The only comment that HSAB had when they looked at it was the triple gang windows should be changed to a double. And I would agree with that.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, who wants to start?
I'll start.
Go ahead, Diane. Okay.
I think that's all is the triple windows in the east elevation would be good as double or two separated. But otherwise, the building is there. It's a very cute little building. And as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't need anything else.
Okay, thanks, Diane. So your main concern, your only concern really is the triple.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's all.
Yeah, okay, Abby.
Yeah, I'd go along with that as long as they were proportioned, and I'm sure you can do it, Matt, so that they were nicely, on that elevation and on the north elevation, if you were gonna separate those two, that they would be proportionally correct for that elevation.
Those are actually,
North elevation exists.
yeah,
We'll forget that then.
but the dimensions are.
Okay, so now Diane had actually made, I think, two suggestions. One is either to go to two windows, or one is to take three windows and spread them further apart. Did I understand you correctly, Diane?
Well, take two windows and spread them apart or put them two together like all the other windows in the
Okay,
building.
so no 3 windows, only 2 windows.
No, it's two, it's crowded for 3.
Gotcha.
You're going for a mulled window?
No, she's saying do 2 windows spaced equally, which I think is
Oh.
kind of what you were saying.
Or mold, as the other ones are. Yes,
Or mold,
yes.
okay, oh,
yes, Abby, I was going for a mold.
I see, okay.
Yeah.
Abby,
I'm okay, yeah, I'm okay with both of that, either of that.
all right, thanks. John,
I'm
you're,
sorry, she said,
you want to go with 2 windows
Oh.
here rather than 3.
I have a comment, my comment would be that I appreciate the change of that door. With
Oh, how about it?
the-
That
But
crazy.
the other, yeah, I'll make a motion for it.
Well, no, because a majority of the board wants to have the 3 windows on the east elevation go to 2 windows.
Yeah, but there were 15 windows.
No. There's 3 windows on the east elevation right now. We want to take it to 2 windows.
Right.
Like it is here.
I'll add my motion.
Okay, so John has made a motion to approve this, changing the triple unit on the east elevation to a double unit on the.
Holly had an idea that we could reuse the already gained window for that,
Oh,
And bring
okay,
it over there.
all right.
since it's being removed.
Matt, you okay with that?
I just need to check on the age and condition of those windows. They may be, I don't think that they're historically significant, but
Okay.
I could definitely copy that same style. I don't know what condition those windows are in, and I don't know if they're actually old or not.
If possible.
All right.
Sure.
We'll stay with John's motion. So John has made a motion to approve this with 2 windows on the east elevation as opposed to 3. On that motion, Diane.
Aye,
Thank you, Abby.
Aye.
John, on your motion.
Aye.
And I'm in favor, motion carries, thank you. Okay, last thing, dorm and stairs, and I think that's gonna be the end of us for the day. For anybody else in the queue who's waiting, we're gonna bump the rest to Tuesday. After Matt's finished. Go ahead, no, you go ahead.
Do we have time for this?
Mm,
2:27. 2:27, we do this in 3 minutes. I turn into a pumpkin. How was Spain, Matt?
It's great. Yeah, I'm visiting my son Hunter, who's studying here, so it's great.
Wow. You're
Weather's
still
been
there?
good. Yep, still here. Leave Saturday, so it's been fantastic to see him. I miss him. It's been a couple
Yeah.
months, so. Okay. While the drawings are coming up, in the interest of time, I could just run through some of the changes, Mr. Chair, if that works.
Yep.
Okay, so basically, we're not really proposing to make any exterior window or door or trim changes. There's an existing ramp system and existing access stairs, and we're proposing to take the same approach to add the newel post detail cap, if you will. So if you look at the existing versus proposed, it's changes are fairly de minimis. Again, in most cases, these existing stairs are, I think if I was to start from scratch, I probably wouldn't do what they've done, but in the interest of maintaining the existing character, we've elected to work with, with what's there and just try to improve it slightly. And I know that the door in the south elevation, for example, on the stoop are not aligned in the way that would make sense, specifically lining up the stairs on the door, but that's an existing condition. So that is the extent of the changes for this structure.
Okay, Matt, thank you. Mary, anything?
No. Just that it was approvable. We thought it was approvable.
Okay.
Me too.
Thank you, Mary. Just checking. So ASAP, anything?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So, just for the record, this was actually a former barn originally, between 1900 1920. HSAB had comments, question actually, can other option be considered to tuck the exterior stairs back closer to the building? Other comments, they were overall more on the site than anything else, rather than the structure, but what about the small chicken coop and shed? Is there an application to remove that? What is its history? Are there any proposed changes to building number 3 that's on the site? And then all new hardware should be muted in color and finish, not polished or lacquered, with a comment. So those are the comments, Mr. Chair.
Can you address any of this, Matt?
Certainly. I mean, starting with the reconfiguring the stairs, the exterior stairs, we could certainly do that, provided it's, acceptable to the Preservation Trust. As far as the existing exterior shed, we're not looking to make any changes to that. I think that's shown as existing, and we're not proposing to do anything but repair what's there. It is kind of a strange storage shed. It's very low. You can kind of see that the height of it. As far as the hardware is concerned, we can certainly accommodate that, and I don't think that we would propose anything that was, not in keeping with the period, if you will, or specifically, something that's hyper, polished. I don't know if that was all the questions.
I think that kind of covered it. Thanks, Matt. Who wants to go?
The chicken coop, though.
That's this structure back here, and it says actually to be demolished. So I just want that on the record, that would have to come in.
Yeah, so it says to be demolished on the chicken coop, so you need to come in with a separate application for that, Matt.
Sure. We didn't know if that actually qualified. I mean, we can submit photographs if we haven't already of the structure, but if it's something that needs to be kept, we can certainly do that. But we didn't know.
With our limited time, let's keep our attention on the barn.
Certainly.
I'm good.
Okay, so Abby's good. Diane, comments?
I have no comments. I think the staircase is a question because it mimics the staircase coming off the youth hostel building.
Right.
So it gives it some sort of reason for being there. I think the little shed should be kept because it makes the whole building more in keeping with the whole little area. So I have no other problem. If the staircase has to be changed, that's fine. If not, I would leave it and for that reason.
Okay, thank you, Diane. Thank you. John, your turn.
Yeah, where's the air conditioning?
Oh, I have no idea. John, Matt, air conditioning?
We are going to locate those. We are working with Mirka Ahern, and so we have a very comprehensive landscape plan where all the condensers are located, but we obviously don't want them in any highly visible locations for the use, the occupants as well. So, but we will submit that as part of the landscape application.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Okay, John, anything else?
No, I just think maybe either keep shed or stairs. So
What?
I'd like to make a motion to approve it as it is,
Okay.
but refile the air conditioner.
Oh, he's gonna do that.
He's
So
doing
they
it
can
with
do
the
the
landscape,
landscape.
yeah.
Okay, fine.
So we get a motion to approve it. Okay, so John has made a motion to approve this structure. On that motion, Diane.
Aye.
Thank you, Abby. John on your motion,
Aye.
and I'm in favor, motion carries. Okay, that concludes our regular business portion of.
Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
Night, night.
Thank
Good
you.
afternoon,
Yeah. Have fun
Thank
in
you, Mary.
Madrid.
Yeah.
I will. It's 8:30 here, so or whatever. I don't know exactly. Yeah, 8:30.
Almost time to go to dinner.
Estoy
I know.
cansado.
Muchas gracias por todo. Yo soy muy contento. Ciao.
De nada. Okay, so should we don't
Adjourn.
need to approve minutes, so. I
I'll
think
make, oh, no, John makes the motion to adjourn.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't
We
do
need an aerospace.
Okay, John has made a motion to adjourn for the afternoon. On that motion, Diane,
Aye.
thank you, Diane. Abby,
Aye.
You didn't do the voting like
and you did not, that's no Tuesday, yeah. John, on your motion to adjourn,
Aye.
and I'm in favor too, so thanks, everybody. Thanks a lot. This one was approved without any conditions, so.